Over the past decade, I've won my fair share of fitness trackers. And you know what I've learned? You don't really need them. So in today's video, I'm going to share with you what I've learned from using fitness trackers for over a decade so you can decide whether they're right for you. Over the past decade, fitness trackers have come a long way. These devices can monitor our step count, calories burned, resting heart rate, track our sleep, remind us that we've been sitting for 8 hours watching TikToks and should probably get a life. So why is it, as a population, we continue to get fatter? As impressive as this ever-growing list of available data from these smartwatches is, if we're perfectly honest, the average person probably doesn't need daily updates on things like their blood oxygen levels, and is probably only after things like daily step count, calories burned, and sleep tracking. And if your goal is to drop a few pounds and to get into shape, these are all the metrics that you need, and I'm going to show you right now how you can get all this information for free on your phone. First metric is step count, and something we're all obsessed over nowadays, and that is getting 10,000 steps a day. And I personally think this is a good minimum amount of steps to aim for. If we're awake for 18 hours of the day, it takes about 1:40 to walk 10,000 steps. That's only about 8% of your day spent walking. As well as helping us to burn a few extra calories, walking has so many health benefits, such as improved cardiovascular health, improved bone health, improved mood, just to name a few. However, you don't need a tracker to count your steps, as we all have a tracker glued to us 24/7, our phone. I use the Pacer app, it's free and tells you everything you need, how many steps you've taken. Next up, we have calories burned, and I think this is where the data starts to have us focusing on the wrong thing. Monitoring how many calories we're burning during our buns and guns class is irrelevant if we don't know how many calories we are consuming. Now, people probably aren't going to like this next bit, but if you're serious about losing weight, you're going to have to start tracking your food. I use my Fitness Pal, it's completely free to use, and honestly, if you've never used this app or any food diary app, I guarantee if you start using one, you will see results. Now, this may sound like a lot of work, but when you're plating up your food, instead of putting your plate onto the countertop, just put it on top of a scale instead. And instead of scrolling Instagram while your food is cooking, take a second to open up your food diary and just pop in what you're eating. Honestly, if you've never done this before, I highly encourage you to do it for a couple of days, preferably a couple of weeks. You're not only monitoring how many calories you're consuming, but also educating yourself on how many calories are in the foods that you like to eat. Usually just a few simple food swaps can be all you need to start losing weight. Now, alongside tracking your food, I'm going to also ask you to do one more thing, and then you're going to have to start tracking your weight every morning. Yes, every morning. Our weight fluctuates day to day, so if you're only weighing yourself every other Thursday, you're not going to be getting reliable or accurate data. Again, this sounds like a lot of effort, but in the morning when you walk into the bathroom, instead of stepping onto the floor, step onto a scale instead. So every day in the morning, after I've weighed myself, I'll jot down that number into my notes. And at the end of the day, I'll also jot down the calories consumed next to that day's weight. And at the end of the week, if my weight has stayed the same, I now know my maintenance calories. Finally, we have sleep tracking. And for those of you who followed the channel for a while, you know that this is something I have struggled with myself, and it all seems to stem around the time I started tracking my sleep. I have found with sleep tracking, there's only 3 possible outcomes when you check your data in the morning. Number 1, you had a good night's sleep. You check your data, it confirms you had a good night's sleep. Number 2, you had a bad night's sleep. You check your data, it confirms you had a bad night's sleep. Number 3, my personal favourite, you're waking up thinking you had a good night's sleep. You check your data, it tells you, no, you had a bad night's sleep, and you instantly feel exhausted for the rest of the day. Start stressing about your sleep on a consistent basis and give yourself insomnia. Definitely not speaking from experience. Now, this is just my personal experience, but I think tracking your sleep does more damage than good. I think we can all tell how good our sleep is by how good we feel in the morning, and if we focus less on a sleep score and more on getting up and going to bed at the same time and limiting caffeine and alcohol, your sleep should be alright. Don't get me wrong, fitness trackers definitely have their place. If you're seriously into your training, you're an athlete trying to get that extra 1%, or you're just someone who loves data. But for the average person who's looking to lose weight and get a bit fitter, I think they can actually distract you from the data that you actually need to get the results that you want. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think, and while you're here, why not watch another video? Possibly one where I'm reviewing some kind of fitness tracker.